What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, fire people?
2,000 years later.
What's up, mga ka-mathsters?
So guys, welcome back to another video of our channel. Sorry.
So hi again, and today we will be discussing to you points on how to arrive to our answer with regards to our last lesson, which is,
Multiplying mixed fractions.
and what are the steps in multiplying mixed fractions?
Convert, multiply, and convert, also known as CMC.
So we have simplified the steps for you to easily remember that, right? We have the C as to convert, M and to multiply, and C to convert it again. Okay. So if you haven't watched that video, just
Go back to episode 3.
yes.
Yep.
Okay. With regards to multiplying, simplifying fractions, we will be discussing points for you to easily get the answer, particularly on converting and multiplying. We will give you another discussion to easily do that. Okay, so let's start. Let's not make it longer. What's the first question, Master Jen?
The first question is, Sir, which is easier?
To simplify first before converting,
Or converting first before simplifying?
so hello guys, let's go back to the question, which is easier, converting first before simplifying or simplifying first before converting? Or another question that you may ask is that, can we do that? Can we even do that, sir? So through the following example, we will be doing those two different cases from the same example so that we could answer those questions. And we will be doing converting for both converting mixed to improper and the other way around, improper to mixed. So let's start. First, converting mixed to improper fractions. I identify it using the different cases. Case 1, convert first before we simplify. So that's 2 and 3 over 6. Let's use that as our example. Doing the clockwise solution, that would be 6 times 2 plus 3. And that will give us 15 over copy the same denominator, which is 6. Now, make sure that our fraction is always in simplest form or lowest term. So if we have 15 over 6, we simplify it by dividing both numerator and denominator by 3. So 15 by 3 will give us 5 and 6 by 3 will give us 2. Therefore, the simplified form is 5 over 2. Now, using case number 2, meaning we simplify first before we convert, let's do it using the same example, 2 and 3 over 6. But how do we simplify first? So in simplifying first, we just simply have to look on our fraction part, which is 3 over 6. Let's simplify 3 over 6 by dividing both numerator and denominator by 3. So when we divide it by 3, that will give us 3 by 3 is 1, and 6 by 3 is 2. So it's 2 and 1 half. So we can say that 2 and 3 over 6 is the same as 2 and 1 half. Now, let's do clockwise solution. So there we have it, 2 times 2 plus 1 equals 5. Copy the same denominator, which is 2. Now, as you could see, even though we do the different cases, we still arrive at the same answer. Let's have one more example to prove and find out whether we could still arrive at the same answer. Case number 1. Convert first before we simplify. Let's use 3 and 2 over 8. So, following the clockwise solution, there we have it. 8 times 3 plus 2. It will give us 26 over, copy the same denominator, which is 8. Now, let's simplify it by dividing both numerator and denominator by 2. 26 by 2 will give us 13, and 8 by 2 will give us 4. Now, let's do case number 2. Simplify first before we convert, but using the same example, 3 and 2 over 8. Again, in simplifying mixed fraction, all we have to do is to simply look on the fraction part. So, if we are going to simplify 2 over 8, we can divide both numerator and denominator by 2. So if you divide it by 2, 2 by 2 will give us 1, and 8 by 2 will give us 4. Therefore, its simplest form is 3 and 1/4. Now, let's convert. Convert it following the clockwise solution. 4 times 3 plus 1 will give us 13. Then copy the same denominator, 4. So again, even though we use different method, we still arrive at the same answer. On our last example, let's try to answer the question, which of the two cases is easier? As you could see, I intended to use larger numbers for us to really identify which of the two cases is easier. So case 1, convert first before we simplify. 3 and 12 over 24. Following the clockwise solution, that will give us 24 times 3 plus 12, and that's equivalent to 84. Over copy the same denominator, which is 24. But I could not identify its simplest form first. Later, let's find out. Case number 2. Simplify first before we convert. I have 3 and 12 over 24. Again, I just have to simply look on the fraction part, which is 12 over 24. As you can see, both of them are divisible by 12. 12 by 12 is 1, and 24 by 12 is 2. Therefore, 3 and 12 over 24 is equal to 3 and 1/2. Now, I can convert it to improper fraction. Following the clockwise solution, that is 2 times 3 plus 1. Therefore, it's 7 over 2. Let's look first on case number 1. Actually, case number 1 has a risk point. As you can see, if we multiply 24 times 3 plus 12, the numerator becomes bigger. And with bigger numerator, the tendency of simplifying it will be harder since it will take you time looking for GCF since the numbers are higher. So now, how about for case number 2? The advantage point is that we simplify the number. So, the numerator and denominator become smaller. If you compare it to case number 1, instead of multiplying 24 times 3 plus 12, it became 2 times 3 plus 1. And with that, we could easily get the converted and simplified form with a lower possibility of getting errors or mistakes. I hope you get the point that case number 2, or simplifying first before converting, is easier than converting first before simplifying. How about for converting improper to mixed fractions? Let's find out whether we will still arrive at the same answer even though we do the two different cases. Let's use example number 1. So in case 1 again, we convert first before we simplify. So let's use 15 over 6. So 15 divided by 6 will give us 2 remainder 3. So again, we just simply copy the same denominator, and 2 will be your whole number, while 3 will be your numerator. As you can see, again, in simplifying mixed fraction, we just have to simplify the fraction part, 3 over 6. And so again, 3 over 6 could be simplified by dividing both numerator and denominator by 3. So 3 by 3 will give us 1, and 6 by 3 will give us 2. Therefore, it's equivalent to 2 and 1/2. How about if we do case number 2? How about if we simplify first before converting it? How do we do that? So if we have 15 over 6, again, we simplify first, and both numerator and denominator can be divided by 3. 15 by 3 will give us 5, and 6 by 3 will give us 2. So now, let's convert it to mixed fraction. 5 divided by 2 will give us 2 remainder 1. Now, let's simplify. Let's write it in mixed form. So 2 will be your denominator, 2 will be your whole number, and 1 will be your numerator. So again, as you can see, even though we use the two different cases, we still arrive at the same answer, 2 and 1/2. Let's have one more example for us to find out whether we could still arrive at the same answer. Case 1, 32 over 10. Let's convert first. So that's 32 divided by 10 will give us 3 remainder 2. So, copy the same denominator, 3 as your whole number, and 2 as your numerator. Now, we can simplify mixed fraction by simply looking on the fraction part. So that's 2 over 10. And 2 over 10 could be simplified by dividing both numerator and denominator by 2. 2 by 2 will give us 1. 10 by 2 will give us 5. Therefore, 3 and 2/10 is equal to 3 and 1/5. How about if we do case 2? Simplify first before we convert. 32 over 10 could be simplified by dividing both numerator and denominator by 2. So if we divide both by 2, 32 by 2 will give us 16, and 10 by 2 will give us 5. Now, let's convert it to mixed fraction. So that's 16 divided by 5, 3 remainder 1. Copy the same denominator, which is 5, and 3 will be your whole number, and 1 as your numerator. So again, even though we use two different methods or cases, we still arrive at the same answer. How about if your given looks like this? So 72 over 16. In case number 1, we convert first before we simplify. 72 over 16, so that's 72 divided by 16. Let's find out the answer later. How about for case number 2? Simplify first before we convert. 72 over 16, as you can see, both are divisible by 8. So 72 by 8 will give us 9, and 16 by 8 will give us 2. Now let's convert it. 9 divided by 2 will give us 4 and 1/2. So again, just like what we did a while ago, we look for the risk point and the advantage point for each case. For case number 1, the risk point is actually on the division part, because that is where the main process of converting happens. So as you can see, the risk point is dividing large numbers. How about for case number 2? Since we simplified the number already, it's an advantage since the numerator and denominator become smaller. So, it will help us easily get the converted form because we will just have to divide smaller numbers compared to converting first before simplifying. I hope you could consider case number 2 as easier method in converting fractions.
Oh hey! So based on the discussion, even though we do or follow any of the two cases, we would still get the same answer. And also, to answer the question which is easier, which was shown and explained in this video, we suggest you to use case 2, meaning to simplify first before converting. Anything especially if you are given large numbers, which will surely overwhelm someone. But we hope again that this video helped you decide on what solution you are going to do in terms of converting fractions for either improper to mixed or the other way around. Please watch out for our next video about the importance of simplifying fractions involving different operations, and the first one would be in terms of multiplying and dividing fractions. That's all. Keep safe, mga ka-mathsters, and God bless.